There are two kinds of people in this world. Either you're doing things you know you shouldn't, or you're not doing things you know you should. Guess what? We're both. Hi, I'm Marci Barker, life and business coach, aka your loving kick in the pants. This podcast is here to help you become accountable with aligned action and become boss-minded while growing a business without sacrificing what matters most. Let's dive in. Good morning, my beautiful people. Today on the podcast, Your Loving Kick in the Pants, I am doing another recommendation or topic suggestion that I got. These are my favorite things to do because one, I am creating content that you guys are consuming, so I know that it's effective and it's going to go to use. Two, I am happy to provide what I know because I am an open book with a lot of things, and I've told people that submitting a podcast topic is kind of like getting free coaching because I'm going to share with you the very best solutions for you. Now, because this is one-sided and I'm talking at you, I fully would love for you to become part of the boss-minded community. So you can join the Facebook group. If you're female, it's a female community, but also message me. I had somebody who joined my Facebook group and they said, I'm here because of the podcast. And I was so happy about that because when it comes to accountability and being an expert in strategy, execution, and taking action, like that's what we're all here for. So if you hear something and you want to go a little bit deeper, message me and we can continue the conversation. But today's podcast, we're going to talk about social media management. Now, that can mean a lot of different things. Social media management. As a business coach who helps people with their social media, I do not manage it for them. Even when it comes to content, I will show them what I do and what works. I have hired people to do my social media before. I've hired both VAs and online business managers. I have my podcast assistant. Like, there's a lot of different ways to manage social media, but I want to come at this with the filter of creating content so that you can actually manage it. Because one thing that happens quite a bit is people who are not consistent with social media, they believe that if they hire someone to do their social media, then they're going to be consistent with it. But you can't hire somebody to do a job if you don't actually know the content that you want to put out there. So when you think of social media management, I want you to ask yourself, am I posting content and it's not getting leads, or am I just not posting content at all? Because there's a very different approach to each of those things. Now, a couple months ago, I taught a workshop called the Content Creation Workshop. And I am going to use that class that I taught as an outline for this podcast because it's going to be a lot. Like, I'm trying to tell you that I'm going to put an hour and a half workshop into 15, 20-minute podcast. But I hope that as you listen to this, you will get some more insight as to how you can improve your social media and be more effective with it, because there is nothing better than somebody coming to you with their credit card in hand, ready to go, because your social media nurtured them. It educated them and it taught them everything they needed to know to make a decision. And this will also be good because another podcast suggestion that I got was objections. So I'll cover that in one of the upcoming episodes, but social media management is the best way to overcome objections so that people come to you without any. Like, it's a really, really beautiful thing. And I say that with a smile. I don't know if you guys are watching. If you guys are listening, I love that. But if you want to watch, you can watch on Spotify, you can watch on YouTube. But I'm smiling about that because when you're running a business and somebody books a call with you and then they pay you $7,000, 10 grand. I've had my highest sale to date is 15 grand. That's a beautiful thing. And it means that you're doing something right. Okay. Now, if you're listening to this and you're like, I had no idea your coaching was that expensive. Don't worry. I have I have coaching that starts at $500 a month. So if you are listening to this and you've thought about hiring a coach, just book a call with me and we can talk about the best thing for you. I am definitely not going to force you to do anything because I cannot work with people who want to be pushed. A loving kick in the pants means I'm giving you, I have a little bit of wind up for you, but there's some momentum that you're going to carry along. All right, so let's dive in. The very first thing when it comes to social media, I want you to know that you absolutely have to know the details of your business. Like, what are you selling? Who are you selling it to? What's the product that you are offering? How is it being delivered? What's the price point? All of that stuff. In my group coaching yesterday, I was reviewing some preparation, some content of one of my clients, and I said, how do you feel after doing all this prep work? And she said, I have never gone that deep with what my business is and what I need to do with it. And I just took a deep breath and I was so happy for her. And I told her, okay, now we're going deeper. The reason why you have to know your business in and out is because you're trying to convince somebody to sign up with you. You're trying to convince people to purchase your thing. And why should they convert to you if you're not converted first? So you have to know back and forth what your business is all about. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, and I want you to either jot them down or record them or think about them, because this is the very first place that you're going to start. Number one, what problem do you solve? So I'll use my business as an example. What problem do I solve? Is I make follow through easy and peaceful. So people come to me if they're not sure how to do something and they're stuck, or they know they're standing in their own way. That's what I solve. As an accountability expert, I am so good at helping people remove resistance and then take action in a way that makes sense for them, in a very logical and strategic way. Now, the next question is, who is your ideal client or customer? You have to know who you're talking to, because if you're trying to sell your mom something, that's a lot different than trying to sell your best friend something, and it's a lot different than trying to sell a stranger. So when it comes to your ideal client or customer, you got to know that. My ideal client or customer is a person in business who wants more results for the work that they're doing. These are people who are very forthright about what needs to happen and what they want, but they're not exactly sure how to get there. My ideal client or customer is also somebody who's like, I've been working so hard and I want more results for what I'm doing. And I know that there's a smarter way to do this, and I need to get out of my own way to do it. So your ideal client or customer, notice that I didn't say she's 35 to 55, she has this many kids, and she makes this much money. I don't care how many kids my clients have. I don't care how much money they make. I'm looking for clients who are ready to overcome the resistance, and my clients are the kind of people who know that the journey is worth the reward, and the journey is just as rewarding as the desired outcome. When I realized that, it brought so much clarity to my business, because as a business coach, yes, everybody wants to make more money. But at the end of the day, we want our money to mean something to us, and we want to make sure that no matter what we do, it's going to benefit us now and later. The next question is, what product or service do you offer and how does it help? This is super important because you're not going to make money if you're not selling anything. And some people are like, I hate the word sales. I don't want to be pitching people. But guess what? You need to make an invitation to serve up a solution, period. If you're selling something, you have to know, if somebody went through your whole process, what's the thing that they would get at the end? Because a lot of people are buying outcomes. They're not buying a course, they're not buying modules, they're not buying videos, they're not buying PDFs, they're buying outcomes. So when you answer this question, what product or service do you offer and how does it help? You've got to know what the outcome is, and you've got to know how it's delivered. Next question, how do people find you and decide to buy from you? This one's super important. I've heard people say this all the time. My audience is not on Facebook, or my audience is not on Instagram, or I would just want to do YouTube or TikTok. Guess what? Your ideal person is everywhere. I promise you. There are millions and millions and millions of people on every single platform, and I promise you they're hanging out everywhere. But you have to know what you want to do. You have to know how you want to find people. Guess what? For me, TikTok, I don't use TikTok. I don't want to use TikTok. I do have a TikTok. I have videos that I use like during COVID. That's what I did. But I'm not going to hang out on TikTok. So I'm definitely never, ever going to go sign up with a coach who is doing TikTok strategy. Just because I don't want to do that. It's not that it won't work. Tons of people are making money on TikTok. But when it comes to how people are finding me, Facebook is my jam. Also, in-person networking is my jam. I did a meeting with somebody today. I went and toured their whole facility and I met them in person. It's because I see them once or twice a month at in-person networking events. So you have to decide, how are people going to find you and how are they going to decide to buy from you? So if I'm working on social media and specifically on Facebook, I have to recognize how people are buying on Facebook, which is a lot of word of mouth. It is recommendations, and it is stalking people's Facebook profile to learn about them. You can learn a lot about somebody just by seeing what they post. So I make sure that if I am spending my time on Facebook, that everything I do there is strategic and it's honest and authentic. And that's how I have learned in the past people buy from me, from my Facebook group, from my Facebook page, and from other groups I spend my time in. The next and last question for this section is what makes you different from others in your industry, okay? When I went through a business course, we had to do something called niche profitability. And I had to go and look and find for other accountability coaches who were doing something similar to me. And I looked it up on YouTube, and guess what I found? Almost nothing. There's like almost nobody talking about accountability. I was very, very surprised by this because I was thinking everybody needs accountability. But I had to go back to what is the outcome that people want. Not everybody wants to be accountable to say, I'm so accountable. People know they need accountability so they can reach their goals, so they can say, I make more money, I'm happier, I'm more organized. So you have to ask yourself, what makes you different from others in your industry? What makes me different is my framework. My accountability code framework is a proven way to help people find out what their next best action items are, and it makes follow through easy and peaceful. What makes me different? I also have a community where I'm very active. What makes me different? I do free calls with people. There's literally no obligation. I'm not going to put you in some crazy funnel email sequence after you just book a call with me. I cannot tell you how many funnels I've been through like that. I don't want to do that. I literally want to get you on the phone just so I can help you take the next step, whatever that is. Now, if you have these questions answered in your business, social media just became a little bit more clear because you're never going to sit down at your computer and you're like, what do I write? I don't even know what I'm going to write. Well, guess what? You have just answered 5 questions that are the foundation for what you're going to start posting. Let's move into the next section. Hey, my beautiful people. If you're loving these episodes, you'll want the full experience. I've bundled both of my books, The Accountability Code and Becoming Boss Minded, into one powerful package. You'll get instant access to the audiobooks and ebooks so you can learn and grow anytime, anywhere. Head to bossminded.com and grab the book bundle now. It's the perfect way to stay inspired between episodes. All right, let's dive back in. All right, we're going to talk about the 5 content pillars. Personal life and priorities, growth and progress, real talk and tough stuff, wins and wisdom, and your people and purpose. Now, when we're talking about content pillars, you might be like, okay, Marci, you lost me. Your content pillars are what resonate with you that also matter to your audience. So I'll use mine as an example. Personal life and priorities. In my social media content, I'm going to talk about things that are happening in my personal life that relate to accountability. Okay, I'm not going to talk about the drama. I'm not going to talk about an issue I had. For example, I've been playing tennis. I've been getting better at tennis. And why that matters to my audience is because I put tennis on my vision board. I have set goals. I am tracking my progress. And I am celebrating my successes. All of those different things fit within the content pillar of personal life and priorities so that when I post about it, people are interested because 1, they see that I'm practicing what I preach and they're seeing that I'm teaching them different methods of doing the same thing. So tracking progress, putting on your vision board, counting your wins, and bringing to pass the things that you want. So the next example of growth and progress, this could be the same thing, but since I already have tennis and priorities under my personal life content pillar, if I'm talking about growth and progress, this is where I can easily highlight my clients. So I have one client who is in my business training vault right now. We do group coaching every single week, and she is almost done with the content. There's so much in there. So it's kind of like you consume it, but there's always more to do. She went to an online networking event and somebody was like, how new are you in business? And she said, I just set up my LLC at the beginning of this year. And they said, there is no way because you are way too organized and prepared for how new you are. And she's just like, yeah. And in the back of her mind, she's thinking, Marci taught me that. So for me, in my social media as a business coach, I can talk about growth and progress of my clients. Because that makes sense for me because I'm passionate about it. I'm honest and authentic with that topic. And people are going to read it and say, I want more of that. I want to be organized I want to be knowledgeable, and I also want to show up in networking events where I have some real authority. So as we go through the content pillars, we're literally just brainstorming. We're just brainstorming different stuff that you can post about that makes sense for you, that motivates you to show up, that also makes sense for your clientele and your potential clients. Now, the whole purpose of social media is to help people get what they're looking for. Now, when people are social, it might just be they want to hang out with other people, they want to read stuff, but guess what? Deep down, everybody takes every action for a reason, even if they're not sure what it is. But we're scrolling on social media because we want to find our tribe. We want to find people who agree with the things that we want. And let's be real, we're always looking for something. We're always looking for solutions in our life. It doesn't matter if it's a homeschooling curriculum, a house cleaner, a better job, restaurant recommendations, book recommendations. We're always looking for something. So your social media content, when you're posting in your content pillars, you are getting more organized about what people are looking for, and you're positioning yourself as the person who has a solution. So content pillars, take a minute to write those down and figure out what you can post that has to do with each of those content pillars. So I'll tell you them again: personal life and priorities, growth and progress, real talk and tough stuff, wins and wisdom, your people, and purpose. I should have said this at the beginning. If you guys want access to this content creation workshop, book a call with me. We'll talk about it and I'll give it to you, okay? But I'm not just gonna send you an email and give it to you. I want you to book a call with me because I wanna make sure that you get the right start. And that's gonna be my little loving kick in the pants for you. I wanna work with people who take action. So you can go to marcibarker.com and book a call with me. But let's move on to the next section of this content creation workshop, and then we will end out this podcast with the little kick in the pants to go and get creating some content. All right, the last section of social media management is your nurture buckets. Now, after you know the basis of your business, and then you have your content pillars and ideas underneath your content pillars, now is time to put your words to work. Everything that you post on social media should fulfill one of these three goals. The first one is nurturing people. So when people read your content, they should be able to feel connected to it, or they should be able to recognize that you're not the person for them. So essentially, you're trying to convince people to like you, or you're trying to convince people why they shouldn't like you. Now, that might sound really weird, but let me tell you something. If your audience is full of people who don't like you, that's a waste of your time. You want your circle, your corner of the internet to be full of people who like you, okay? So your nurture content is either gonna say, hey, come and join me, or people are gonna be like, I don't like what you're posting, that's not the place for me. Totally fine, okay? The second goal that you should have, it doesn't have to be both of these at the same time, it should be one or the other, or the third, which I'll talk about, but the second one is results. So when people are reading your content or coming across your videos, you should be able to articulate the results that you get people. So if I am gonna hop on to make a video and I'm telling you about a client who was so scared to start an email list, and then we organized it for her, and then by the end of the 8 weeks together, she had 130 people on her email list, I can tell you a story about that, but I'm also articulating the results that I can get people. So if I'm not nurturing people, I'm clearly articulating what I can do for them. And again, I'm not trying to sell you. I'm just telling you a story of something awesome that happened because it's under my wins and wisdom, okay? The third goal that you should have is conversion. So again, every single one of your posts is either to nurture people, or to articulate results, or to get people to sign up with you, or take the next step in your funnel. Now, I say that in a very methodical way, but when I say taking the next step in your funnel, it is literally them taking the invitation to move forward with you. So somebody reading my content for free, the next step could be hit the follow button. That's them practicing a conversion to my content and what I can teach them. So let me give you an example. I made a post a couple weeks ago and I said, last week I presented in my business group and was reminded that 8 minutes is not enough. Haha. In 5 weeks, I'll be doing a workshop with over 200 people for 2 hours. That's more like it. The theme for that event is all in starts with accountability. I'm excited and a pinch nervous. And then I have a picture of me presenting with a TV next to me, my presentation on it. Now, with this post right here, this is a results post because I'm clearly articulating that I am a speaker that I have a business group that I'm involved in, and I have speaking engagements in my pipeline ready to go. Now, if I wanted to change this up a little bit to make it more of a nurture post, I would really lean into I'm excited and a pinch nervous. I could talk about how when I got started in business, I was so nervous to get in front of people. Or I could talk about getting in front of people was no problem for me, okay? It depends on which experience I pull out of my tool belt based on my content pillars, okay? So this post could be nurturing, it could be results, or it could be conversion. If I wanted to turn this post into a conversion post, I would say I have openings for November and December of this year. If you want to book me to talk to your group, I'd love to chat with you. Book a call with me, marcibarker.com. Whatever it is, a conversion post is meant to invite people to take the next action with you. So I know I talked to you quite a bit. For the specific person who had this podcast request, this topic, I want to let you know we can totally go deeper. And for anybody else listening, I hope this was a little bit more insight as to social media and how effective it can be. Because again, social media management can include a lot of different things, but you absolutely have to know the purpose of your content in order for it to be effective. Too many people get drained in social media trying to post all the time because there's no prep work involved. So there's a lot of mental fatigue that happens. And then there's also the feedback on the back end when you're like, my social media is not working. And it's like, girl, because you got no strategy. That's why. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. We just got to do a little bit better. Get a system in place and a loving kick in the pants. So I want you to know social media is free, guys. It is free. I have made hundreds of thousands of dollars on social media without running ads. It is free. All you have to do is put in a little bit of strategy and execution and accountability. So I'm here for you. If you guys want a copy of the content creation workshop, just book a call with me and let's chat about it. At the end of the day, you deserve to make a living doing what you love. And if you're going to be on social media like we all are, you might as well make money from it and build a more sustainable business for doing that. So let me know if you got any questions. I'm so glad that you were here to listen today, and I'll see you next week for another episode of Your Loving Kick in the Pants. Thanks for tuning in, friend. If this episode gave you value, don't just keep it to yourself. Share it with someone in your circle who's ready to wake up, show up, and grow their business without sacrificing what matters most. When you do, you're not just helping them, you're building your network of like-minded leaders. And I'll say this plainly, leaving a kind review matters more than you know. It helps more people find the show and it keeps the momentum going. So pause for a moment and please drop that review. Lastly, if there's a topic you want me to cover, I want to hear from you. Reach out because this podcast is for you and I'm here to serve. Until next time, stay boss-minded.